Ladies and gentlemen, today I want you to start your day with power, with confidence, and with a mindset that sets you up for success. Because the way you speak to yourself in the morning shapes your entire day. So, here are 9 things to tell yourself every morning. Not just to say them, but to believe them. Every morning, before the demands of the world come rushing in, before emails, deadlines, and distractions take over, pause and remind yourself why you do what you do, not what you do, not how you do it, but why. The world is full of people who wake up every day, go through the motions, check the boxes, and chase goals they don't even care about. They grind through work not because they're inspired, but because they feel obligated. They measure success in numbers, not in impact. And at the end of the day, they wonder why they still feel unfulfilled. The answer is simple. They've lost sight of their why. Your why is not about money. It's not about status. It's not about hitting quarterly targets or checking off to-do lists. Your why is the purpose that fuels you. It's the reason you get up in the morning with a sense of meaning instead of dread. It's the deeper cause that gives significance to the work you do, the relationships you build, and the choices you make. Think of the greatest leaders, the ones who inspire real change. They don't just sell products, they don't just build companies, they don't just lead teams. They start with why. They understand that people don't buy into what you do, they buy into why you do it. Passion, belief, and conviction are what move people, not tactics, not strategies, not features. So every morning, take a step back and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why does it matter? Who am I serving? How does my work contribute to something greater than myself? Because when you start with why, everything else falls into place. Your decisions become clearer, your motivation becomes stronger, and instead of chasing success, you start building something meaningful, something that lasts. Every day we wake up with a choice, to think about what we need or to think about what others need. The most powerful leaders understand that service is the foundation of true fulfillment and impact. The act of serving others isn't just an afterthought, it's the core of what we do and why we do it. Too often we measure success by how much we've accumulated or how many goals we've personally achieved. But the truth is, true leadership, true success, and true satisfaction come from a different place altogether. They come from serving others. When we serve others, we shift our focus from self-interest to the interest of those around us. It's not about seeking approval or recognition, but about making a difference in someone else's life. The leader who serves does not think, what can I get out of this? But instead, how can I help? How can I make someone else's life better today? Serving others is not limited to grand gestures or monumental acts. Sometimes it's in the small, everyday moments. A kind word, a listening ear, an act of patience. These moments add up. They create a culture of care, trust, and collaboration. When you take the time to understand someone else's needs, to show empathy, and to take action to meet those needs, you are serving them in ways that often go unnoticed, but are deeply felt. It's important to remember that serving others isn't about sacrificing your own needs either. It's not about being a martyr. Instead, it's about recognizing that true service is a reciprocal relationship. When you serve others, you build a community that supports you in return. The more you give, the more you receive, not just in material things, but in deeper, more meaningful ways. Real leaders understand that they are not at the top, but in service to the team, the community, or the cause. They lead by example, demonstrating that leadership is not about power, but about humility. It's about being willing to step aside for others to step forward, to lift others up, and to create an environment where people feel valued, heard, and respected. Serving others also means recognizing their potential. It's not about doing things for people, but helping them realize what they are capable of doing for themselves. It's about encouraging others to grow, to take risks, and to step outside their comfort zones. You're not simply a manager of tasks, you're a cultivator of growth, a creator of opportunities for others to shine. When you wake up each morning, remind yourself, today is an opportunity to serve. What can I give today? How can I make someone else's experience better, easier, or more meaningful? It doesn't always have to be a grand gesture. Sometimes the most significant way you can serve someone is simply by being present, by being compassionate, and by being willing to help in whatever way you can. Ultimately, when you make service your focus, you create something greater than yourself, a community, a team, a movement, one built on trust, respect, and shared purpose. And in serving others, you find that the impact you make is far greater than anything you could have accomplished by focusing solely on yourself. We live in a world that is obsessed with winning. Winning at work, winning in life, winning in relationships. But the truth is, life and leadership are not about winning in a finite sense. They're about playing an infinite game. When we start to think in terms of the infinite game, we shift our perspective from temporary achievements to long-term impact, from short-term results to lasting growth. The infinite game isn't about a single victory. It isn't about hitting a target or reaching a goal and then stopping. It's not about getting to the finish line and calling it a day. In an infinite game, there is no finish line. There's no moment when you can declare yourself done, because the game never ends. You don't play with the goal of winning at any cost. You play with the understanding that the game is ongoing and that your purpose is to continue playing for as long as possible with integrity and resilience. Most people, especially in business, are conditioned to think in terms of the finite game. They measure success by immediate results, quarterly profits, annual revenue, or personal accomplishments. They compete to be first, to be the best, to be number one, because they see life as a series of isolated events with a clear start and end. But when you see life and leadership as an infinite game, you stop focusing solely on the immediate and start focusing on what you can contribute to the bigger picture. The infinite game requires a mindset shift. It requires thinking long term. Instead of focusing on a single win, you begin to think about how to leave a legacy. Instead of measuring success in the short term, you focus on sustainability. You focus on building relationships that last, not just for a year, but for decades. You build a vision that transcends your lifetime. In an infinite game, the rules constantly evolve. You are not in control of the circumstances around you, and you can't always predict what will happen next. The world changes, markets change, people change. But the infinite player knows that the challenge is not to control every variable, but to adapt to change and continue to play with purpose. The infinite game doesn't require you to win every time. It requires you to stay in the game, to keep pushing forward with adaptability and resilience. The infinite game also teaches us that competition is not about defeating others, but about challenging ourselves. In the infinite game, you don't play to beat the other players. You play to improve. You play to grow, to learn, to become better every day. The goal isn't to have the most trophies, but to keep advancing, no matter what. For those playing the infinite game, their vision extends beyond themselves. They think about their legacy, their impact, the lives they touch, and the culture they create. They know that their purpose is bigger than just their own success. In the infinite game, the real goal is to ensure that the game continues for others to play as well. This means investing in people, in organizations, in causes that are larger than any individual. The infinite player is driven by something beyond self-interest, by a greater cause, by a vision that transcends the moment and moves towards an enduring future. The infinite game requires patience. In the short term, you might not see the payoff of your efforts. You might face setbacks, challenges, and even failures along the way. But when you play the infinite game, you know that failure is not the end. It's simply part of the ongoing process. It's a learning opportunity, a moment that will make you stronger, more resilient, and more prepared for the next phase of the game. In a world where instant gratification is the norm, the infinite game challenges us to embrace the long haul. It asks us to think beyond today and focus on tomorrow. It demands that we lead with a sense of purpose, that we don't chase fleeting victories, but rather commit ourselves to a cause that will continue regardless of our personal involvement. It asks us to consider not just how we will succeed today, but how we will lay the foundation for others to succeed long after we're gone. When you embrace the infinite game, your perspective shifts. You no longer chase wins, you chase purpose. You no longer define your worth by the victories you accumulate. You define it by the value you create, the people you inspire, and the lives you change. The infinite game isn't about crossing a finish line. It's about staying in the game, playing with integrity, and making a difference that lasts. It's about embracing the uncertainty, the challenges, and the unknowns, because you know that the game itself is the reward. It's about continuing to show up day after day, knowing that every step you take contributes to something greater than yourself. Every day we face a decision. Do we choose what's comfortable, or do we choose what's courageous? Comfort is seductive. It's easy to settle into a routine where things feel safe, predictable, and familiar. We know what to expect, and that feels reassuring. But comfort is also the enemy of growth. It keeps us in a bubble, far away from the discomfort of challenge and change. To grow, to innovate, to lead, we must choose courage over comfort again and again. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the ability to act despite fear. Comfort, on the other hand, is the avoidance of fear. It's a place where we hide from the unknown and avoid risks. But the problem with comfort is that it stifles potential. It convinces us that if we stay in our cozy little world, we'll be safe. Yet, in doing so, we miss the opportunities to learn, to expand, and to make the kind of impact that only comes when we step outside our safe zone. Think about the leaders who have changed the world. Think about the entrepreneurs who built empires from scratch, or the innovators who revolutionized industries. None of them achieved their success by staying comfortable. They embraced discomfort. They leaned into the fear, the uncertainty, the challenges, and they did it knowing that every moment of discomfort was a step toward something greater. Courage allowed them to look beyond the immediate pain and see the long-term rewards that were waiting on the other side. When you choose courage over comfort, you're choosing to be uncomfortable in the short term for long-term gain. It's about stepping into uncertainty, knowing that you won't have all the answers right away, but that you're willing to figure them out. It's about taking risks, not because you're sure you'll succeed, but because you're sure that the pursuit of something bigger than yourself is worth the risk. Courage isn't always about taking big leaps. Sometimes it's about small, everyday choices to confront the things that scare us. It's about having the tough conversation with a colleague or loved one that you've been avoiding. It's about raising your hand in a meeting even when you're unsure of the idea you're about to share. It's about putting yourself out there in ways both big and small and being vulnerable enough to face whatever comes your way. These are the moments that build courage. We all have them: the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of not being enough. But courage doesn't eliminate those fears. It simply chooses to act in spite of them. Courage says, I may not know how this will turn out, but I'm willing to try. Comfort says, I'll wait until I'm certain, until it's easy. But by waiting for comfort, we often miss the opportunities that are waiting just outside of our comfort zone. To truly lead, to truly make a difference, we must embrace discomfort. Because discomfort is where growth happens. It's where we learn new things, stretch our capabilities, and discover strengths we didn't know we had. It's the fire that forges resilience, perseverance, and strength. We need discomfort to sharpen us, to test us, and to help us reach the next level of our potential. Courage doesn't always feel good. It's not meant to. If it were comfortable, it wouldn't be courage. it would be something else. Courage often feels like fear, like uncertainty, like doubt. It feels like taking a step into the unknown without a clear map to guide you. But what you gain on the other side is worth the discomfort. You gain wisdom. You gain growth. You gain the ability to face even bigger challenges with a stronger, more confident heart. Comfort wants you to stay in the status quo, to remain in a place where you don't take risks. But courage pushes you to do things differently, to think beyond what you know and to challenge the status quo. It asks you to rise up against your fears, to say yes to the opportunities that scare you, and to do things that make you feel uneasy. Choosing courage over comfort also means choosing to lead by example. If you're a leader, your team will follow your example. When you choose courage, you show them that it's okay to be vulnerable. You show them that risk taken isn't something to be afraid of, it's something to embrace. You teach them that mistakes aren't failures, but lessons that lead to greater success. Your courage inspires others to find their own bravery, to step outside their comfort zones, and to push past their fears. In the end, courage is not a one-time decision, it's a way of life. Every single day, we must decide whether we will choose the easy path or the path that challenges us to grow. Every morning, we have the opportunity to rise and face the day with courage instead of comfort, to step forward with the knowledge that the road ahead may not be easy, but it will be worth it, because growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from the courage to confront the unknown and the willingness to move forward despite it. In a world that is often focused on what's missing, it's easy to overlook what we already have. We chase after the next big thing, the next promotion, the next achievement, constantly measuring our success by what we don't have rather than what we do. But when we shift our mindset toward gratitude, we open ourselves up to a new world, one where we recognize the abundance around us and find fulfillment in the present moment, regardless of external circumstances. Gratitude is a practice, not just a feeling. It's a choice we make every day to acknowledge and appreciate the good things in our lives, no matter how small. In the busyness of daily life, it's easy to take things for granted. We wake up, go to work, engage with people, and face challenges, but how often do we pause and really reflect on what we have? When we express gratitude, we begin to see the world through a lens of abundance instead of scarcity. Instead of focusing on what we lack, we focus on what we've been given. Relationships, opportunities, health, even the simple things like a quiet morning or a beautiful sunset. When we practice gratitude, we train our minds to find joy in the everyday. Gratitude isn't about denying difficulties or pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that even in our struggles, there is something to be grateful for. In fact, some of the most profound moments of growth come from the challenges we face. By being grateful for the lessons learned from adversity, we shift our perspective and realize that every experience, whether good or bad, has the potential to teach us something valuable. Gratitude also plays a powerful role in shaping our relationships. When we approach our interactions with a sense of appreciation, we create stronger, more meaningful connections with the people around us. Think about the people who have made a difference in your life. Maybe it's a mentor, a colleague, a family member, or a friend. What if, instead of only acknowledging their contributions when we need them, we took the time to thank them regularly? Gratitude doesn't just improve our outlook on life, it deepens our relationships and fosters a sense of trust and respect. It reminds us that we are not alone in this journey. Others are walking with us, supporting us, and making our lives better, often without even realizing the impact they have. Perspective is an integral part of this practice. It's not just about what we're grateful for, but how we see the world. Often, the challenges we face seem insurmountable because we view them through a narrow lens. But when we broaden our perspective, when we step back and consider the bigger picture, we often realize that our problems are smaller than they seem. Our frustrations are temporary. Our struggles are part of a much larger narrative. one that is always unfolding and shaping us for something greater. One way to shift perspective is by practicing mindfulness. Taking the time to stop, breathe, and fully engage with the present moment allows us to let go of the mental clutter and refocus. But in the present, there is always something to be grateful for, whether it's the support of a colleague, the warmth of a cup of coffee, or the beauty of nature outside your window. There are countless things to appreciate if we take the time to notice them. Perspective also involves understanding that things are not always as they seem in the heat of the moment. Our emotions can cloud our judgment, and our frustrations can make even small setbacks feel like monumental failures. But if we step back and take a broader view, we often realize that things are not as dire as we thought. Our setbacks are often setups for comebacks. Our failures are stepping stones to greater success. By adjusting our perspective, we can turn obstacles into opportunities and see challenges as invitations for growth. Gratitude and perspective are deeply connected. Gratitude opens our eyes to the blessings we already have, and perspective helps us understand that even the difficult moments are part of the larger picture. When we take a step back, we begin to see that everything we experience, both good and bad, contributes to our growth and journey. Perspective shifts us from seeing problems as burdens to seeing them. Another way to build perspective is by looking at our circumstances through the lens of others. We all face struggles, but we also know that others are fighting their own battles. By empathizing with others and considering their challenges, we gain a deeper appreciation for our own lives. This helps us put our own difficulties into perspective and reinforces the importance of gratitude. When we realize that we are not alone in our struggles and that others are facing challenges of their own, we can feel a sense of connection and shared experience that brings comfort and peace. Gratitude and perspective allow us to let go of the need for perfection and embrace the beauty in imperfection. They remind us that life is not about achieving a flawless, uninterrupted sequence of victories. It's about navigating the highs and lows with an open heart and a sense of appreciation for the journey. The more we practice gratitude and perspective, the more we begin to realize that it's not the destination that matters most. It's the path we take and the way we experience each step along the way. We live in a world that often glorifies perfection. We're told that we should be the best, do the best, and deliver flawless results. Whether it's in our work, our personal lives, or how we present ourselves to the world, there's an overwhelming pressure to appear perfect. But the truth is, perfection is a trap. It's an illusion that can paralyze us, keeping us stuck in a constant cycle of self-doubt and fear of failure. Instead of striving for an unattainable ideal, we should focus on progress. Progress is the antidote to perfectionism. While perfection paralyzes, progress motivates. It encourages us to take one step forward, no matter how small, and celebrate each improvement along the way. Progress is about growth, learning, and evolution. It's about taking imperfect actions that move us closer to where we want to be, without needing everything to be exactly right before we begin. Perfection, by its nature, demands an end point, a finish line that's often out of reach. The problem with perfection is that it makes us fear failure, because we mistakenly believe that if we aren't perfect, we've failed. This mindset stifles creativity and innovation because it holds us back from taking risks. It stops us from making the mistakes that lead to breakthroughs. We often forget that failure is an integral part of success. Every failure teaches us something invaluable, and every misstep moves us closer to where we need to be. Progress, on the other hand, is an ongoing process. There is no finish line. There is no ultimate moment when you can say, "I'm done improving." Progress invites us to keep moving, to keep iterating, and to keep learning from each experience. It shifts the focus from being perfect to being better than yesterday. With progress, the journey is just as important as the destination. In a world obsessed with perfection, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the weight of expectation. We compare ourselves to others and measure our success against impossible standards. But what we fail to recognize is that everyone is on their own journey and no one has it all figured out. The most successful people are not those who never stumble. They are the ones who keep going, even when the path is unclear, even when things don't go according to plan. They embrace progress over perfection, knowing that it's not about avoiding mistakes, but about learning from them and continuing forward. Choosing progress over perfection also means letting go of self-criticism. We are often our harshest critics, constantly telling ourselves that we aren't good enough, that we need to do more, that we need to be better. Perfectionism creates a sense of inadequacy because we set impossible standards that can never truly be met. But progress allows us to acknowledge that we're on a journey and that where we are today is enough. Each step forward is a success, no matter how small. When we prioritize progress, we also give ourselves the freedom to experiment. Perfectionism stifles innovation because it makes us afraid to try something new if it doesn't guarantee success. Progress it reminds us that trying something new, even if it doesn't work, is part of the process. Every experience is a chance to learn, grow, discover. By focusing on progress, we create an environment where trial and error, where mistakes are seen as lessons and where innovation happens. Progress over perfection also cultivates resilience. When we let go of we free ourselves from the fear of failure that holds us back. Every time we fall short of our expectations, we have a choice. We can stay stuck, defeated by perfection, or we can move forward, learning from the experience. Progress is about having the resilience to get back up, dust ourselves off, and try again. It's about staying in the game even when things aren't going as planned. One of the greatest challenges of perfectionism is that it often leads to procrastination. When we feel like we must do something perfectly, we delay taking action until everything aligns just right. But the reality is that conditions will never be perfect. The perfect moment, the perfect idea, the perfect plan, none of it exists. What exists is the present moment and the choice to take imperfect action, to make progress regardless of the circumstances. By choosing progress over perfection, we break the cycle of procrastination and start moving forward. Progress also keeps us grounded. Perfectionism is often tied to external validation, wanting to appear successful or flawless to others, but when we focus on progress, we shift our attention inward. We stop worrying about how others perceive us and start paying attention to our own growth. We stop comparing ourselves to others and measure success by our own standards. Progress is deeply personal. It's about competing against the person you were yesterday, not someone else. Ultimately, progress is about embracing the journey, imperfections and all. It's about being patient with ourselves, knowing that every step forward counts. We don't need to have everything figured out today, and we don't need to be perfect in order to make an impact. What matters is that we keep moving forward, even when the path is unclear. Each small step is progress. Each effort, no matter how imperfect, is worth celebrating. And in the end, it's not perfection that leads to success, it's progress, persistence, and the willingness to keep going no matter how messy it may seem. Every day that we wake up is a gift, a new opportunity that has never existed before. The moment we open our eyes, we are given a blank canvas. The actions we take, the decisions we make, and the mindset we adopt in that day will shape not just our own lives, but the world around us. Today is not just another day. It is a chance to begin anew, to create, to innovate, and to make a difference. So often we get caught up in the routine, in the repetition of daily life, that we forget the power each new day holds. It's easy to wake up and simply go through the motions, checking off tasks, answering emails, and following the patterns of the day. But when we shift our perspective and recognize that today is an opportunity, we begin to see that each moment holds potential. We have the power to decide how we will approach today. Will we take it for granted and let it slip by without intention? Or will we seize it as an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to contribute in meaningful ways? The choice is ours, and the beauty of today lies in its boundless potential. Every interaction, every challenge, and every experience is an opportunity to learn something new, improve our skills, and move closer to our goals. When we see today as an opportunity, we begin to realize that there is no such thing as a wasted day. Even on days that feel difficult or frustrating, there is always something valuable to take away. Maybe it's a lesson learned from a setback or an insight gained from overcoming an obstacle. When we view challenges as opportunities for growth, every moment, whether good or bad, becomes a stepping stone on the path to success. Today is also an opportunity to connect with others. In our busy lives, it's easy to forget that every person we meet, every conversation we have, has the potential to create impact. We can lift others up, inspire them with our actions, and offer support when they need it. Every interaction is a chance to build relationships, to strengthen bonds, and to make a positive difference in someone else's life. But it's not just about what we can do for others. Today is an opportunity to invest in ourselves as well. It's a chance to reflect on our goals, to ask ourselves what we truly want out of life, and to take deliberate steps toward achieving those desires. It's easy to get lost in the hustle and bustle, to let the demands of others overshadow our own dreams. But today is a reminder that our aspirations matter. It's a reminder that we must take the time to nurture our own growth, whether it's through learning something new, developing new skills, or simply taking care of our physical and mental well-being. When we see today as an opportunity, we begin to break free from the limitations we place on ourselves. Too often we wait for the perfect time to act, for everything to align just right before we take a step forward. But today is the perfect time. Today is all we have. It may not be perfect, but it is enough. We don't need to wait for conditions to be ideal. We simply need to act now. The progress we make today, no matter how small, is progress, and that is enough. Moreover, today is an opportunity to embrace the present moment. So often, we dwell on the past or worry about the future, but today is all we truly control. When we focus on the present, we stop dwelling on past mistakes or regrets. We stop worrying about what may or may not happen in the future. Instead, we focus on what we can do right now, in this very moment, to make the most of the opportunity before us. Today is an opportunity to start fresh. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. It doesn't matter how many times we've fallen short or faced failure. Today is a new beginning. It's a chance to reset our mindset, to refocus on our goals, and to take new, positive actions toward creating the life we want. The past does not define us. Our actions today do. Finally, today is an opportunity to embrace possibility. The future is full of unknowns, and that can be both exciting and overwhelming. But when we see today as an opportunity, we remind ourselves that the future is built upon the actions we take today. The choices we make now lay the foundation for everything that comes after. Today is not a mere passage of time. It's a pivotal moment that can change the trajectory of our lives. Every choice, no matter how small, has the potential to create a ripple effect that shapes our future in ways we can't yet imagine. In conclusion, the 9 things we tell ourselves every morning are not just affirmations. They are reminders of the mindset and attitude we need to embrace each day by starting with a clear sense of purpose, focusing on others, and shifting our mindset toward long-term growth. We set ourselves up for success. Choosing courage over comfort, embracing the infinite game, and maintaining a perspective of gratitude are all vital practices that keep us grounded and motivated. Recognizing that progress is more important than perfection reminds us that every small step counts. By integrating these thoughts into our daily routine, we empower ourselves to approach the challenges of the day with resilience, clarity, and determination. The way we speak to ourselves shapes how we experience the world, and by choosing these empowering thoughts, we create a foundation for meaningful progress and lasting impact.